The war in the Middle East is prompting a growing humanitarian crisis across the region, particularly for children. More than 340 children have reportedly been killed and thousands injured since the war began a little over a month ago. For more on that, let's bring in Salim OWEIS from UNICEF's Middle East branch. Salim, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us. Just talk us through first, if you will, the current humanitarian situation on the ground in the Middle East. Salim, I don't know if you can hear
Sorry.
me. Yes, go ahead. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
I can. Yeah. No, sorry. As you mentioned, the numbers are rising by the day, and we're having hundreds and hundreds of children either killed or injured. That's not to mention the lack of services, the situations that they find themselves in, the displacement, which is taking a horrible toll on children for the past 4 weeks plus. This is becoming, unfortunately, a norm for children in the region, and it's spreading its grip on children across the Middle East, Iran, Lebanon, with fear in the wider region in the Gulf, Jordan, and as such. This is becoming a grim picture that is live broadcasted on TV, as we've seen in the past 2 years, over 2.5 years almost now in Palestine. So the situation is really dire, and it is threatening of becoming even worse as we go.
How much worse has the situation become since the war in Iran began over a month ago? Do you notice a dramatic spike?
Unfortunately, we started the escalation first day with a hit on a school with over 100 children inside killed. Unfortunately, that didn't stop there, and we continue each day to see more children killed. We're seeing more children, as I said, displaced. Um, while the spike might not seem very obvious in numbers, the compounded impact of the prolonged escalation is showing in people's lives, and as we see on the screen, on the tents, on the streets, and people moving in hundreds and thousands from their hometowns, being uprooted with no clear idea of when or if they're going to go back, and how the situation would be in the near future. So it is escalating, if not militarily, it's on the human toll and the suffering of children.
So, given all of that, Salim, where do you see the most urgent needs at the moment? What needs to be done first and most?
As usual, on the top of the priorities is the protection of children, those who are being killed and being injured day in, day out. That's our main priority. But with that, and with the movement, displacement, we're talking about basic services that are not reaching children. We talk about shelter, we talk about clean water, health supplies, and health services. All of this is really at threat right now. We're talking about places like Iran, where UNICEF is responding with mental health support and health supplies and health clinics going around. In Lebanon, where we have over 650 shelters that are mainly dependent on the aid that they get. So these are very important to make sure that they reach the children and the families, to make sure that at least some of the suffering is elevated.
So, what can be done? What can our viewers who are watching do? What can be done to help these children and the adults around them who are suffering from the lack of resources?
Well, first and foremost is join us in calls to stop this violence. We've seen the history of violence in this region and around the world, and it's never good at the end. It's never good for the families and the children, and really, it never solves the problem. So that's the main thing. Second is keep supporting the humanitarian aid that's going. This comes at a point where funding for humanitarian action is really limited, and the world is really busy with the political side, but not the humanitarian side, not the children's story. And that's where it's really important to keep that focus on children and to continue pushing on their needs.
And just before you go, Salim, talk us through how your teams are doing in these countries at the moment. What's being done for them to help them stay protected and safe as they're helping others?
Well, sadly enough, those colleagues are also in countries while responding to their own families' needs and their own needs. They are responding tirelessly to the needs of the population. I think those are the heroes on the ground, and really we have the highest and utmost respect and appreciation for them. Of course, as an organization, we try our best to make sure that they're protected, that they are catered to in terms of their basic needs. But in war, it's really hard to do so. Under bombardment, it's really hard to guarantee that. And that's why it's really important to make sure humanitarians are protected wherever they are.
Salim, thank you for that. That's Salim OWEIS from UNICEF's Middle East branch. Thanks so much for all of your work.